That the one who we serve is the one who not only created us, but he created everything. Yeah, but that thing over there is awful huge. Yes, and God knew that when he created it. Yeah, but I have to make a living. Yes, God knows that. He established that we're supposed to work. Yeah, but I struggle in this relationship. Yes, he knows that. God knows everything, and not only does he know everything, he is able to do anything about everything. Well, but God, that situation's already over. Well, God doesn't live on the same time frame that we live on. Matter of fact, he doesn't have a watch or a calendar. Doesn't need one. Because he is time. He is above time and beneath time and around time and all this other stuff. So that's the reason, have you ever had that person, I'm going to pray for you, and then you forget about it, and then the next day you go, I shouldn't pray because it's too late. Not in God's time frame. Go ahead and pray. Yeah, but I missed it. Not as far as God's concerned. God's kind of got this whole time travel thing down, only he spends time. He stays the same. He just spends time around. So the God who created everything and has all power, Denise said last week about Jesus putting down his omnis, omnipresent, omnipower, all that, omnipotence. The God who still has all his omnis, he can do whatever he wants to do. He can fix whatever needs to be fixed. Our goal, our task is to go to him and say, God, what do you want to do in this situation? It seems to me, Lord, like I've missed my opportunity to do this. Have I missed my opportunity to do that? I can imagine that Mary and Martha could have walked up to Jesus and said, we missed an opportunity to say goodbye to our brother, and it's too late. It's all over. It's too late. And Jesus goes, oh, no, it's not too late. Watch. Lazarus, come forth. Okay, now you have girls. Don't miss the next opportunity. Okay, here's your brother back. If Jesus can do that, aren't there things in your life that you're counting as dead right now that he could resurrect if he wanted to? Absolutely he could. The question is, should he, will he, and is it for his kingdom's glory? And I get all that stuff. So what's an Old Testament example of this story or this theory that I've got? And it goes on to the story of Elisha. And Elisha was the man of God, the prophet of God. And here's what's going on. Elisha, in the 6th chapter of 2 Kings, these two amazing stories go hand in hand. The first one is about Elisha's servant going out to cut beams. They're living with him, and they go, Elisha, is it okay if we go out and cut beams so that we can kind of add on so that we can have our own space? And Elisha's like, yeah, man, go for it, go. So they go out, and they're cutting timbers, they're cutting beams, and one of them's, their axe slips out of their hand. Now, they must have really been swinging it because it goes into the river, and it's gone. And he goes to Elisha, and he goes, Elisha, man of God, first of all, I lost the axe, which means I can't get the beam, which means I can't add on to my room. But more importantly than that, I borrowed that axe from somebody, and they're going to be mad. And Elisha's like, no problem. He takes a stick, does something to the stick, throws the stick in the water, and the iron axe comes floating up. Iron does not usually float. Last I checked, iron is not supposed to actually float. So that's a pretty amazing story, but then it goes on. Now, I don't know if this is one of the same. This could be the very same servant of Elisha who gets to see something pretty incredible here. But here's where our story picks up now. Now, the king of Aram is trying to take Israel, and every time he moves to a great place to attack Israel from, Elisha goes, oh, hey, go tell the king of Israel that here's where he is. Oh, go tell him here's where their forces are. Here's where they're about to attack. And the king of Aram was like, okay, who is it? Who's telling on us? Which one of my generals is telling the enemy where we're going to be? And one of them goes, whoa, your majesty, it's not us. It's the dude Elijah. He knows where we are before we get there. And he keeps telling them, I want you to go get me this guy. Take as many men as you need. Take chariots, take horses, take soldiers. I want this guy. And so they go to attack and to get Elisha. And the servant gets up that morning and he looks out, and what does he see? But he sees all these soldiers, these Armenians, what was it? Armenians, thank you. That'll work for right now. The king, whoever his army was, they weren't his friends. And he's scared to death. And he goes to Elijah and he says, Master, we got a problem. We got serious problems. So here's where we pick up. It's in 2 Kings chapter 6, verse 15 through 17. Now when the attendant of the man of God had risen early and gone out, behold, an army with horses and chariots were circling the city, and his servant said to him, Alas, my master, what shall we do? So he answered, Do not fear, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them. Then Elisha prayed and said, O Lord, I pray that you open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. Okay, so the story goes on that Elisha walks out and he strikes them all blind, and then he walks up to him and goes, Hey, who are you guys looking for, Elisha? Oh yeah, he's not here. Follow me, I'll take you to where he is. And he leads this blind army, and they go along with him like, okay. I guess total group blindness was a new thing and they didn't know what to do. And he leads them to the Israelites, and then the Israelite king goes, okay, are we supposed to kill them all? He goes, no, feed them lunch and send them home. They won't be back. And that's exactly what happens. Think about what God was allowed that servant. Look, I'm convinced that if God would do that for us every once in a while, if we would get up, we would look at our bank account balance, we would look at our schedule that day. We would look at our vehicle. We would look at our relationship. If God would just kind of give us a supernatural view of, okay, but here's what's actually going on. What's that huge person? Oh, that's your angel. He's out there fixing your car. You didn't know this, but there was a problem with your car, but I knew it, and I fixed one of my mechanic angels, which would be kind of cool, an angel with grease under his fingers. I think that would be cool. See, what's going on in the spirit realm is the real realm. This physical realm that we're in is temporal, which means it will not last forever. But what happens in the spirit realm is forever. This is not the real end. This is just a stopping point along the way. So what's going on supernaturally is pretty impressive. Okay, now we're going to go to the New Testament and look at another New Testament story. This is an example, or maybe it's a bad example, of somebody not being able to keep their eyes focused on the Lord. Okay, who am I talking about? Anybody want to take a guess? Yes. What? You're awesome, man. You're awesome. Peter. So in Matthew chapter 14, verse 23, Jesus has just fed over 5,000 people with a couple of fish and chips. The disciples watch all this, and then Jesus says, guys, go ahead and get in the boat. You go on, I'll dismiss the crowd. Jesus dismisses the crowd, and then he does what he always does. He goes up to be alone with the Father for a little while, to take a little break from humanity. I find comfort in that. It's okay every once in a while to withdraw from humanity. It's fine. Jesus did it. And he hangs out with the Lord. And then he goes, well, I'll just go catch up with the guys. And so he begins to walk to them. Apparently no boat was available, or the boat wasn't going to go fast enough. So Jesus walks on the water to these guys. And in Matthew chapter 14, verse 28 through 31, it says, they see this figure walking towards them, and the water and the waves are up, and it's kind of a little bit rough. They're in what is called the fourth watch, which is probably between 3 and 6 a.m. in the morning. In Jewish culture, they only had 3 watches of the night, but Roman culture had 4 watches in the night, and I don't know why, but it was something to do with Rome's ability to capture things and just how they did it. So this is kind of where they were taking on the Roman thing. But from 3 to 6 a.m., there's really not supposed to be anybody awake but 1 or 2 guys who are on the watch. But apparently, when they see what they think is a ghost of Jesus, they don't know what's happened, but they see what looks like a ghost. They've never seen anybody walk on the water before. But they just saw a guy feed 5,000 plus people with a little sack lunch. So they're primed for this. Peter said, Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water. And Jesus said, come. And Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came toward Jesus. I bet Peter wishes that we had just stopped right there. And just stop right there with me walking on the water. Just freeze frame. Let's roll the credits. Let's just let it end that way. But that's not how it ended, was it? No. Then, but seeing the wind, he became frightened and began to sink. He cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately, Jesus stretched out his hand, took hold of him, and said to him, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" You were walking on water, dude. You've never done that before. You're a fisherman. You've spent a lot of time in boats. You've spent a lot of time on the water. I bet you've never stepped out of a boat before and gone, bloop. Wow, this is pretty cool, but look at the wind. Look at the waves. This is horrible. This is so scary. What happened to him? What did he take his eyes off of? He took his eyes off of Jesus. What do we spend a lot of our time doing? Keeping our focus on everything but Jesus. Doesn't the Bible say, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness? And then what does he do? He takes care of everything else. Yeah, but Mike, he might not take care of it the way I take care of it. It sounds a whole lot like when Adam and Eve go, well, yeah, God said we could eat of everything but that one. But, yeah, you're right, Satan. He probably doesn't really care about us. He really probably isn't going to watch out. He probably doesn't understand the fact that I have to show up for work today to do this thing because my IRA is... God probably, God's kind of Old Testament. He may not understand today's technology and the fact that I got to show up. Today's technology is yesterday's technology in heaven. Do you think about that? What they're using up in heaven right now for computers is amazing. It makes what we look like what IBM used to be. This room, this whole room would be one computer that would give you a punch card with like numbers in it. And now most of you have watches that can do amazing things. That's old technology in heaven, just so you know. There's nothing that's been thought of here on earth that hasn't already been established in heaven. So here's some examples of this. You of little faith. Jesus has calmed the storm. He feeds the 5,000. He's walking on the water. And sometimes in our normal reaction, we'll get our eyes off the Lord. The Lord is good, but this situation is really big. I know the Lord loves me, but I've got this struggle that I'm just it's carrying me down. But what do we have to do? As Sally says, you move your butt. The situation I'm in is not good, but my God is greater. This struggle that I'm going through is tough, but my God loves me with an everlasting, amazing love. We move our focus. We take the moon and we say, okay, moon, rather than you be in the way, I'm going to move over here, and now I've got a clear view of the Lord. It doesn't mean that the moon's not there. I'm just not going to let the moon get between me and the sun, S-O-N. All right, so the eclipse message was one of where's your perspective? I want to briefly tell you what the second one was, which was actually what the first thing that he said to me. That Romans 3:23 says what? How many have sinned and fall short of the glory of God? All. The definition of all there? All. It's not that difficult. All of us have fallen short of the glory of God. Every one of us. Not all of us are murderers, not all of us are adulterers, not all of us are drug addicts, not all of us are politicians. But all of us have done enough sin in our life that it separates us from that holy God. All of us. That is a total word. All. But the good news is that of the gospel, like that doesn't sound like good news. Oh no, it wouldn't be good news except for the gospel goes on to tell us some good news about Jesus Christ. The work that Jesus did on the cross is a completed work. Even if the best of us fall short of this unreachable standard, Jesus still did a finished work on the cross. I want to just have you imagine something with me here for a minute.